Lawyers of Reddit, what was your hold it moment where you knew you would win? Obligatory, not mine but my mum's story. She was fighting for custody on behalf of the father, trying to prove that the kids were living in subpar conditions with their drug addict mother in spite of the ample child support provided. It was a tough case because courts are so hesitant to pull kids away from their moms. Then the mom burst out that she had been feeding the kids cat food as proof that she wouldn't let them starve. Needless to say, the judge didn't take that as a good reason for the kids to stay with their mom. The plaintiff was being deposed in the lawsuit she filed alleging sexual discrimination. She was claiming her boss had made some inappropriate innuendos and overtures. The defense attorney asked her if when the alleged statements or events took place, was she shocked? No. Was she offended? No. Was she damaged in any way? No. So why exactly are we here? Well, honestly, I'd rather not be. Meanwhile, her attorney stared straight down, scribbling notes/doodling. We ended the deposition there and asked her attorney if this was going away now. We got a call later offering to settle for $1,000 and a letter of apology. My best guess is she was pressured by a friend or family to talk to an attorney and the lawyers ran with it without really talking to their client. Not a lawyer, but we had no evidence that the woman who slammed into my stopped car going 85 miles per hour was drunk until she indignantly admitted it on tape in her deposition. She busted into my deposition and demanded she go first because I was a lying bitch. She excitedly told my lawyer that the police report was wrong because it said she was coming from the movie theater when she was actually coming from her friend's bar. Did you have anything to drink at your friend's bar? Of course. How many drinks? I dunno, they just keep my glass full. Did you take any medicine that day? Methadone and low blood pressure medicine. I see. The cops had refused to breathalyze her at the scene because her husband was a firefighter that they knew personally. They told her to go home, sober up, and go to the hospital later. I heard the whole thing, but had no proof until she handed it to me. They settled same day. I had a client who was accused of taking a young woman's car and then crashing it/fleeing the scene. The girl testified at trial that she had given him the keys that night because she was drunk and would never ever drink and drive. Apparently she was not aware that I had requested and obtained a copy of her driving record, which showed she received a DUI a month after the incident. I still remember the look on her face when I handed her driving record to her and said, "Except for that one time you got caught a month later, right?" The look on the judge's face was equally memorable. I worked on a case involving defective processors. In discovery, we got emails from the defendant's engineers that had worked on the processors. They were in a nation country, but the emails were in English because they were going to US executives. One of the more senior engineers basically laid out the exact defect we were suing over, explaining what the problem was and why it was their fault, and finishing with, "This is big problem, we ship crap to customer." Needless to say, we hit them over the head with that in mediation, and they settled shortly after. I'm a trial lawyer. I have a ton of these. My favorite was probably a DUI where the cop was in a Buffalo Wild Wings with my client watching a fight. Like, the cop was standing at the bar in full uniform, then when my client walked by him to leave, followed him out. Client was only actually going to his car to grab his phone charger because he was going home with the bartender. Like, he hadn't even closed his tab yet. Cop arrested him and charged him with DUI for opening his car door, then fabricated this story for his report about how client got in car, turned it on, and began to pull out of the space to leave the parking lot. He also denied being inside the Buffalo Wild Wings on the stand, under oath, to my face. Surprise. I talked to the bartender at Buffalo Wild Wings and got the security tape. It very clearly, like surprisingly good quality, showed cops standing at the bar, watching my client walk out the front door, then follow him 30 seconds later. Parking lot cam also showed client barely touched the door handle before cops stopped him. Very abbreviated, I was prosecuting a convenience store owner for luring a young girl, who regularly came into the store, back to a part of the store, to grope/fondle and kiss her, child enticement. It was the only section of the store without surveillance camera coverage. They were in the back room for about 2 minutes and 17 seconds, per the timestamp on the videos. Of the many arguments the defense put on, one was there was no way there was enough time for anything to happen. In my rebuttal on closing, I asked the jury to imagine what could happen in the room in that amount of time, and I asked them to all close their eyes while I timed out 2 minutes and 17 seconds on my watch, in silence. After about 60 seconds, 2 of the jurors started crying. Knew it was going to be guilty right then. My client was accused of brutally murdering a dog. Cop testified that there was no testing of the blood, no body ever found, and admitted it could have, in fact, run away. The eyewitness said she could see the killing down the hallway from the dining room. Cop testified there was no hallway and the dining room was on a different level of the house than the killing supposedly took place. Then the person who was leading the lynch mob against my client around town for the last year testified that she had been in the apartment between the 2 visits by the cop to evaluate the scene. No body, a compromised crime scene, witness who couldn't see anything, and admission that there was no proof the dog was dead. Closing argument lasted 3 seconds. Your Honor, I'm asking for an acquittal. When I compared the scanned copy of the deed, provided by the other side's lawyers, to the original my client eventually got around to providing. The scanned copy, provided by the other side, had a witness signature. The original did not. My mom hit a guy on a bike with her car in a parking lot. She claimed he hit her. She also wanted to countersue the cyclist for scaring her. In her deposition, she started every sentence with, "When I hit him." My client was riding his motorcycle on a relatively calm street when this guy exited his garage, without looking, and ran over him. In deposition, the guy brought a witness that was with him on the passenger seat. The whole time, the witness maintained that my client was driving too fast and that there was no time to brake the car. I asked him the same question a few times in different ways, making him tell the story again. In the 4th telling, he, already a bit frustrated, let it slip. "Look, I've already told you. We were exiting the garage, and, as soon as I lifted up from getting my cell phone on the car's carpet." "Wait. So you didn't even see the crash?" "There was no coming back from that." "I knew the cops beat up my client and framed him. They described a knife in his possession that quote caused them to fear for their safety. Oddly, they never seized it. We won the criminal case and filed a civil rights case. While deposing one, he described the knife in detail. No more than 3 minutes later, he slipped up and claimed his partner told him my guy had a knife, but he never saw it himself. I told him, that's not what you just said, and saw him panic. His lawyer panicked too and asked to see me outside. When we got in the hallway, I withdrew my settlement demand, and the case settled for a substantially larger amount within 45 minutes. Parent termination case I was prosecuting. Dad went on how he has changed his life around and worked the AA program. Asked him what step he was on, and he proudly proclaimed 3. Asked him what step 3 is. He had no idea. Then asked him what step 2 was. Again, no idea. Parental rights terminated. When I found a video on Facebook of the plaintiff squatting 300 pounds a month before his deposition. That was a good one. Oh, he was saying he couldn't work and had back injuries after a minor car accident. Thanks for watching the video. For more content like this, please subscribe, like, and share the video and push the notification button.